Welcome to this session. I am Erika Medati and I work as a senior manager within the National Literacy Agency. In this short presentation, we will have a look at the different reading strategies as featured in the updated National Literacy Strategy. Here I would like you to jot down a few points before we start off. What is a balanced literacy program? Have you ever heard of this terminology? If yes, when did you hear it? Can you explain it in your own words? Let us have a look at this very important wheel. This is the Balanced Literacy Approach wheel. It features the main balanced literacy strategies and the different forms of assessment applied to it. Each section is featured in a different color for ease of distinction between the strategies. In this session, we are going to highlight the blue section featuring the reading strategies. That is the modeled read aloud, the modeled think aloud, shared reading, guided reading, and independent reading. This is the perfect example of the gradual release of responsibility that the class teacher must practice for the learners to acquire their literacy skills. We always start off by modeling first and gradually releasing the responsibility to our learners until they become independent. As explained in the previous slide, in an effective reading program, a gradual release of responsibility approach must be used. In this approach, the teacher models what has to be done. Here the teacher has 90% of responsibility, whilst the learners interact with the teacher. Through a strategy like guided reading, the responsibility is diminished from the teacher's side but passed on to the learner, so that we reach independence by the letter. Here, the learner takes 90% of the responsibility, whilst the teacher still interacts with the learners. In this other model, we can notice that in the gradual release of responsibility, we are moving from the focused lesson model to guided instruction, then to collaborative learning, and ultimately to independent learning. This model can also be applied to the writing model featured in green in the National Literacy Strategy model. Now let us think and discuss about the important distinctions between shared reading, guided reading, and independent reading in the literacy lesson. What do you know about these strategies? Let us focus on shared reading first. What is our focus in this strategy? What type of grouping do we use? What type of text is featured? What type of performance? That is, what type of support is provided to the learners? What is the teacher's role? Let us focus on guided reading. What is our focus in the strategy? What type of grouping do we use? What type of text is featured? What type of performance? That is, what type of support is provided to the learners? What is the teacher's role? Let us focus on independent reading. What is our focus in this strategy? What type of grouping do we use? What type of text is featured? What type of performance? That is, what type of support is provided to the learners? What is the teacher's role? This slide answers all the questions asked earlier. I will give you some time to read it and understand it. If you have any queries about it, just write your query in the forum section of this session. I will answer your queries at my earliest. In this week's section folder, I will also upload a PDF copy of this file so that you can keep it as a reference. The previous slide gave us a very good overview of the differences between the effective reading strategies that can be implemented in the classroom. Let us have a look at them so that we recap what has been discussed. Modeled reading, reading to or reading aloud, involves students listening to a text read aloud by the teacher. The teacher models skilled reading behavior, enjoyment and interest in a range of different styles of writing and types of text. It provides an opportunity for teachers to demonstrate their enjoyment in reading and allows students to see a purpose in learning to read. Modeled reading can also be used to target various literacy focuses. This includes the teacher modeling skillful use of concepts of print, phonological awareness, phonics, vocabulary, comprehension, fluency, visual literacy, and understandings of literature. Why use Think Aloud? Think Aloud helps students learn to monitor their thinking as they read and improve their comprehension. It teaches students to reread a sentence, read ahead to clarify, and/or look for context clues to make sense of what they read. It also slows down the reading process and allows students to monitor their understanding of a text. Shared reading provides struggling readers with the necessary support. Shared reading of predictable text can build sight-word knowledge and reading fluency. It allows students to enjoy materials that they may not be able to read on their own. It ensures that all students feel successful by providing support to the entire group. Guided reading is an instructional strategy that can help students improve a variety of reading skills, which includes decoding, fluency, and comprehension. There are a number of effective strategies that can be used in providing effective guided reading sessions. In this week's session, we will focus more on the strategy as we will be discussing the theory behind the strategy in the next PowerPoint presentation. This quote by Stephen Graham describes perfectly the main ideology behind this reading strategy. Guided reading is the right book in the hands of the right child at the right time. Now let us have a look at what is a balanced reader. When a learner becomes a balanced reader, he or she is able to decode 90% of the text or above, reading it with fluency and correct phrasing. The learner must also understand what is being read. The good reader is the child who is able to decode, read with fluency, and comprehend a wide range of text types. Graded reading is not about moving children from one level to another. One has to make sure that the three elements that make a good reader are present at a particular level before they move to the next. Our ultimate aim is to improve the reading level attainment of each learner. We are aiming at getting each learner to an independent reading level, according to the learner's pace and literacy needs.